Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be Love is Giving, Not Holding Back. Well, I've got 4 emails I'm going to go through with you today. But before we get into it, I got my quote that I wrote I want to share with you. It says, the purpose of all relationships is that you go there to give. You're there to help each other grow, become more, and to meet each other's needs. Loving, therefore, is all about giving, not holding back. Fear and hurt imprison the heart. The love that you withhold is the pain that you carry. When we fail to authentically compliment what we like in another, we hold back our love out of fear or for manipulation to get what we want. We experience pain, suffering, and regret. Once you give the gift of your heart without attachment, no matter the outcome, you'll be able to walk away at peace within yourself and feeling content that you gave it your best. Just showing up in life is half the battle. So let's jump into the first guy's email. He says, hey coach, I bought your book and I've steadily been trying to apply what I've learned from it and your videos to my current dating life. To give you a brief progress report before I go into detail, I've been dating another girl and at the same time still talking to my ex-girlfriend. To the gist of it, I am still most interested in my ex-girlfriend and want her back. Now into detail, I've been doing what you said about letting her come to me. She's been texting or calling me almost every day for the past 3 weeks. Well, that's a good sign, and if she's chasing after you, guess what? She ain't blowing you off. Because remember, feminine energy is all about bonding and love and connection and relationships. And that's why women usually, naturally, instinctively are going to want to reach out to you more and connect more. Now, they're not going to, most of them, pretty much 99% of them are not going to call you up and say, hey, let's go out on a date. They're not going to do that because that's the man's job. What they would rather do is call you and make it easy for you as the decisive leader, hopefully, to make a date happen, a fun-filled romantic opportunity for sex to happen between 2 people who are sexually attracted to one another. Because otherwise, it's just friendship. He says, it has accelerated since she found out I had slept with another girl and that I am talking to a new one. In other words, you'd love to get back together with her, you'd love to see her, but you're not waiting around. Why? Because you're a catch, because you're awesome. And it's your birthright to have a great woman in your life. And if the ex-girlfriend is not going to appreciate you, or she's got excuses or reasons, she's got to figure herself out, or she's got to find herself, or she's got to get her head straight, or whatever BS excuse that happens to be, that's great. I think it's awesome. When you figure that out, you give me a call. And we'll get together. It lets her know that you're not waiting around. A man who perceives himself as a catch is not going to be waiting around. He says, she told me how hurt she was and that she didn't know why or how to handle it. Well, it's obvious that she values you and she thinks that if she keeps screwing around, eventually she's going to lose you to another woman. He says, when she first found out, she came over to my house and we had sex. It's powerful. I talked about an instance that I had with an old girlfriend like 10, 14 years ago. Same situation. I was out. She was kind of jerking me around. Went out with this other girl that I had ran into. It was really fucking hot, really beautiful. And she and I are on the way back to my place that night to enjoy the rest of the evening. And who did we run into? I ran into the boss of the other girl that I was dating. So of course, like next morning, 9 o'clock, driving to my office, I get a phone call, and guess who it is? She says, hey, I just wanted to call and see how your night and your evening went. So it was obvious that her boss had told her, yeah, guess who I ran into? Corey was with this really hot girl. It made a huge difference because within a few weeks, we got serious and she asked me to be her boyfriend. And the other girl ended up getting back together with her boyfriend that she'd broken up with anyways. So it worked out perfectly. He says, I then went out of town for a couple of days, and then when I got back, she came over and we hung out and had sex again, 3 times in one night. Hang out, have fun, hook up. It's the way it's supposed to go. He says, that night was great, not just because of the sex, but because she was affectionate and caring. She then proceeded that night to tell me how she started talking to another guy and how she really likes him. Well, great, honey. Good luck with that. Maybe it works out for you. You got to have a non-attached attitude, because when a woman's got two guys that are relatively acting similar strength-wise, she's going to start testing both guys. And whoever the weakest and the most willing or the quickest one to cave is usually the one she's going to reject. He says, I played it cool and acted like it didn't affect me. Why should it? You've got a couple other girls that you're dating and hooking up with, and the bottom line is she is the one that chose to dump you and break up with you, because I've answered a bunch of emails for this guy already. So she unilaterally changed the terms of your relationship. And as a man who values himself, as a catch and who loves himself, he says, hey, I deserve to be happy. And although I'd like to work things out with you, we can't work anything out when you decide you're going to go date somebody else or that you don't even want to try. He says she then proceeded to bash the girl that I was dating, and she also Facebook stalked her by saying that she has no tits and that she's too skinny. Women have a natural fear of losing their protector. I think it goes back to the days when we were all living in caves, and literally if a guy dumped a woman that he was with for somebody else, literally she could be out fighting for her own survival so she didn't get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. He says, anyways, another week went by and she proceeded to contact me, usually about small talk. That's why you make dates. Remember, if she's reaching out, you must assume it's because she wants to see you, because she wants to bond and connect, so make a date happen. Otherwise, you're going to become her therapist, chit-chatting over the phone like that. He says the other day she texted me first thing in the morning asking me if I wanted to come to her place to stay over. Nice. That's good. It's bold. Women won't usually do that. That usually communicates a high level of attraction. He says, to me this was a big deal because the first time in a long time she was willing to bring me around her friends. She lives with roommates. He says, anyway, she was nice, but not as affectionate as the times before. She didn't bring up the other dude, but yet asked about my girl several times, to which I gave her a vague or no response. We went to see a movie. When we got back to her place, I tried to come on to her, and she said that she wasn't in the mood and that she was on her period. I know her, and she's always horny, and being on her period has never stopped her before. You already got your Red Wings with this girl. Nice job. He says it aggravated me and got me thinking. I blew off, listen to this. He says, I blew off going out with my friends that night. Well, that's something you shouldn't have done. If you already had plans with your friends, you should have gone out with them. You should have said, hey, I would love to see you, but I already got plans tonight. When are you free to get together? Then have her come over to your house again. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. He says they had met up with some cute girls, and the whole time I was thinking, why am I wasting my time with a girl who doesn't want to be with me, much less have sex with me? Exactly. Now you're thinking, because you're trying to be Mr. Nice Guy, you're trying to be bend and be flexible, trying to accommodate her, and you go over her place and she treats you like a redheaded stepchild. He says she could tell I was aggravated and wanted to talk. I told her that I feel that me hanging out with her is keeping me from moving on. It's good honesty. He says she told me she misses me and thinks about me all the time, but that when she is with me, that she's only given me 60% of herself and that she has a wall up with me. She told me that she doesn't want to get back together right now and that she's trying to figure herself out. That's why you should be making dates for her to come over to your place, because you're not boyfriend and girlfriend again. So hanging out with her and her roommates, you potentially get cock-blocked. Because obviously if she's hanging out with some other dude and that guy's coming over too, and yet she's got the ex-boyfriend coming over, she's got the peanut gallery always making comments about that. And obviously women are worried, naturally, instinctively worried about getting the slut label. Oh, you're fucking two guys, you're such a slut. So if you come over and nothing happens, and she can say nothing happened, he just stayed over. Because she was sleeping with the other guy the night before. Think about it. That's why you have her come to your place. Why go out of your way to try to accommodate a woman who blew you off and stopped working on your relationship? She showed she didn't value you. Well, if she values you, she'll come over at your house and hang out and have fun and hook up at your place and do fun things with you. I wouldn't be going over to her place until you guys are really serious again. Until you've had that talk and you're exclusive and the other dude's out of her life and you've decided, you, my friend, have decided that you want to get back together with her because you've seen her actually show up and say the things that she means and mean the things that she says through her actions. He says, I told her that I want a girl who wants to give me 100% of herself to me, and that I can't find that girl if I'm hanging out with you and holding on to you that way. Exactly. It's good that you're speaking up for yourself. You're speaking from your heart. You're saying what you want. He says, I told her that I didn't want to see her anymore unless she wants to move forward and try and fix things. Anything else I feel like is wasting my time. Exactly. I kept on thinking what you said. The strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. I feel like she's using me to get what she needs from guys who aren't giving it to her. And I am tired of being used. I'm not going to lie, Corey. I want to see her and hang out with her, but I want it in a relationship. If she can't provide that for me, I have to man up and move on and find it from someone else. Like I said, hang out, have fun, and hook up. Have her come to you. I say that all the time, but at some point you hooked up with her 1 or 2 times and you thought, hey, it's okay for me to start going over to her place again. And you do that, you start giving the power away because you want her to earn you back. You want her to prove over several weeks and months that she really cares about you and values you, because obviously a woman doesn't dump a guy that she really values and she's in love with. Plus she's giving all this BS about, I gotta find myself. I ain't got time for that bullshit. Life's too short. He says, I told her she feels like she wants to pursue me in a relationship again, to get in touch with me, and that my door is always open to her. Do you think I did the right thing by walking away, or should I have kept doing this hangout thing where she is acting kind of cold and sometimes we have sex and sometimes we don't? I think you did the right thing, dude, but where you went wrong is going over to her place. And plus, you broke your plans that you had with your friends to go hang out with her, and you got nowhere, and you probably could have met some really cute girls who you might have hooked up with, or at least if you didn't hook up with that first night, at least the second or third night you would have. And you got a clean slate with them. They don't have all this baggage that you had with the ex-girlfriend. So you just started compromising your principles. And if she calls you, assume she wants to see you, invite her over to your place. And then after that, don't call her and do anything. She's got to work to earn you back. Remember, she's the one that ditched you. He says, I want my girl back. Am I doing the right things? For the most part, other than the things I've already mentioned. He says, also the girl I was talking to turned out to be a stage 5 clinger. I didn't tell her that and just kept her believing that I was interested in the new girl. Yeah, it's really none of her business anyways, and plus it works to your benefit. He says, as we speak, I have already set up a date with another girl from Tinder, and we have a date this week, Wednesday night. I really do want to meet someone awesome who wants to be with me, but at the same time I want to get my ex back. I know it sounds confusing. Help me out. Well, like I said, your game's got to be tight, and you got to keep doing what you're doing with these other women, because more than likely you're going to find a girl that you like even better than the ex-girlfriend. Because even if you get the ex-girlfriend back, the chances of you staying with her long-term, not very good. Most guys don't. After 3 to 6 months, or sometimes even after a month, they realize all the things that turned you off to begin with are still there. But at least once you get the girl back, then you can be the one to decide to end it the second time around. And at least that way you'll know. At least that way you can say, you know what, I gave it a shot, and I realized that there was nothing there. And hey, then you can move on with your life with having peace in your heart. Because the idea is that when you don't communicate, and I like what you did, I like how you communicated to her that I feel like I'm wasting my time here sometimes, because in essence I come over and you jerk me around. That's kind of basically what you were saying, which is true, and that's what you needed to say. You basically said, I'm tired of this. And if you're not going to make the effort, I don't want to hang out with you. And that's why you got to stay committed to her coming over to your place, hanging out, having fun, and hooking up. Coming to your place first, then you guys can do things. Because this way, by her going out of her way to do that, she's earning you back slowly over time, instead of you going over to her place and just being like, I don't feel like sex tonight, I'm on my period, or giving you some fucking BS excuse about that. When you knew before, when she was really happy, even if she was on her period, she wanted to have sex. So let's get into the second email. This guy says, hey coach, first off, thank you for all you do to inspire men and women everywhere. Now down to the fun stuff. A girl I work with sent me a Facebook message saying how crazy it was at the office and good luck. She's never done this before, so I figure I'll ask her out, and of course she agreed. I used the trusty, when are you free to get together? Where have I heard that before? I can tell you paid attention. You actually read what I wrote in my book, and you used it. You didn't try to turn it into some weak statement. You just presupposed that, of course, she wanted to see me, and you made a date. Good fucking job. He says, and we meet up once a week for drinks. By the third date, we ended up sleeping together. Huh. Imagine that. Most women sleep with a guy by the second or third date. Amazing. It's like clockwork. I know it's awful to say that. There's probably a few women watch this, so boys will be boys. We work at the hospital, and the hospital is hosting a children's craft fair in the morning and an employee party that night. She told me she would be volunteering at the kids' fair, but would be leaving afterwards for her sister's bachelorette party in Las Vegas. Now, this girl told a couple women in the office that we've been hanging out, and like a gentleman, I've kept my mouth shut. It's like women, I saw somewhere women can keep their mouth shut for about, what was it, like 3 or 4 minutes, something like that, when they learn a secret. He says, one woman in our office who doesn't know we've been hanging out told me in front of the other women that she's bringing a friend to the party and I should meet her. I said, great, I'll be there. The next day at the party, I noticed the girl I've been hanging out with getting a drink at the bar. Well, part of the problem is this is not your girlfriend and now you're hanging out with her in group settings. Hang out, have fun, hook up. Until she's committed in a relationship with you, it's better off that you're not hanging out in groups of people. Why? Because the likelihood of you getting cock-blocked or something happening that doesn't help your case out, or one of your helpful drunk friends comes over and starts talking about how you're never successful, or this is the first really great girl that you've ever been able to hold on to more than 2 days. Guys do that shit and they get drunk. You don't want that. But once she's head over heels in love with you, none of that shit matters. He says, I thought to myself, this night should be interesting. I was enjoying a few laughs with friends, and she was sitting across the room with all the girls from the office, including the woman I was supposed to meet. I made my way to the bar, and all the women except the one I've been hanging out with. They had me surrounded, but I played it cool and joked around and teased their friend. I wasn't interested in her, so it was total self-amusement. She was stunned by my teasing and ran back to the pack of women. Prior to the party, I told the girl I've been hanging out with to let me know when she's available. Should I just do my thing and wait to hear from her? Well, if she started out reaching out to you, because you've hung out a few times here, you said, but the fallback is always once a week. So if you're hanging out once a week and you haven't heard from her in a week, call her up, say, hey, I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together? And then make a date. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. It's as simple as that. But like I said, I would give it a week and see what happens. I would imagine this girl will get in touch with you, but you just don't do yourself any favors by doing group events and group parties, because things obviously start to go sideways afterwards. So let's get into the third email. This guy says, hey Corey, I'm a big fan of your material. It's been very helpful. I'm a 24-year-old guy. I've been dating this girl for about 5 months. The first couple times I met her, I wasn't interested, and she clearly was. But then the third time, she was extremely attractive to me, and I ended up taking her home. After I took her home, I was totally in like with her. A couple of days after we hook up, I actually had to move about 8 hours away for work. This did not faze either of us because our interest was so high in each other, so we continued to talk, and I would come home often to see her, hook up, be intimate, etc. Good so far. He says, a couple of months we became exclusive. In the last few weeks, she's become very cold and distant. I could sense her backing away at first, but then she would send me a message explaining that school has been intense for her, and she apologized and that she missed me. So I just brushed it off. Just last weekend, I traveled home to see her, and I went to a play that she was in, and she even had me over for lunch with her family. Despite this family brunch and my visit, she was still backing away, not going out of her way to see me or talk to me. When I left, she became even more distant, and now we haven't talked in about 6 days. She hasn't mentioned how she's feeling or the reason for backing off. She's just literally cut me off. She's now posting pictures on Facebook with her and other dudes. Something obviously happened at some point. I can't tell you what it is from this, but obviously maybe it's the distance. Maybe she started, because remember, women are thinking, is this a good guy for me? Now you've moved 8 hours away, and the likelihood of you being back in town, plus you're 24, you're young, and that's pretty young to be in a long-distance relationship where physically you guys are literally moving further away from one another. But something happened somewhere along in the courtship to where her attraction levels started dropping, and now she's posting pictures of other guys. That tells me she's already got 1 foot out the door. You can tell a lot by Facebook, because what typically happens, and I was having this discussion with a girlfriend of mine several years ago the other day, is that typically what happens when a couple is happy, there's usually pictures of the two of them and her and his Facebook profile, and then it starts being pictures of just her, and then sometimes it's her and her girlfriends, and then it's just like slowly over time, any mention of the guy just kind of disappears from her Facebook timeline completely. And then what you see is that you see her going out and partying a lot, drinking with her girlfriends, hanging out, pictures of her with her arms around other guys, everybody's drinking, they're all having a good time. And then the next thing you see is the Facebook relationship status just disappears. It's just not listed. And then maybe a few weeks later you notice that they're single. It's pretty much how it goes. It's amazing you just observe this on Facebook. He says, what the hell? I've been so tempted to ask her why she's doing this, but earlier this week, as I was sitting around my place, devastated as fuck, I came across your material and realized all the mistakes that I've made. I have been so needy. Ah, look at that. Well, see, that's the important thing about reading my book, is that will really help you realize what you've been doing wrong, especially if you're going to write and do email coaching or do phone coaching. He says, I'm always the one contacting her. I'm always the one arranging plans when I travel home to see her, and I have even waited around for her at night when she told me she would let me know if she could make it. That's a bad way to go. I 100% realize that I fucked this up by being a needy jackass, but what I want to know is there a chance to reattract her? It's not very often that I have such intense feelings for a girl. Well, just go back to the fallback position, which is call her once a week and see how she's doing, do a Skype video date, and be done with it. But if the weeks go by and you don't hear from her, and that's a good chance that she's already pretty much lost interest and lost respect to the point where it's just a matter of time before she lines up the new guy and then tells you that it's over. He says, this is the first girl I've ever been able to look at and think I could spend my life with her. I have very strong feelings for her and want her back, and I want a chance to do things differently and show her the real me, and then I am actually not needy, etc. Well, that's by just backing off and calling her only once a week. He says, as I said, we haven't talked about any of this. We just haven't talked at all. I want her to contact me first, so I use your strategy. I love you, you're great, and I love spending time with you, but I'm moving on with my life. If you change your mind, the door is open, but I'm not interested in being friends. I'm interested in a romantic relationship. Call me if you change your mind. Yeah, so if she reaches out and friend zones you, that's definitely what you say. But you haven't been friend zoned yet, but it definitely, from what you shared, it looks like it's coming. He says, and walk away clean. I'm prepared to do that, but if she doesn't contact me, then do I message her at some point and say that? You only say that once you've been dumped. You haven't been dumped yet. And so you're kind of already presupposing that it's going to happen. He says, I'm going home for Christmas on December 20th for a week, so I have a small window where I can meet up with her face to face. I'm crushed over this girl. Can you please help me? Well, like I said, call her once per week, arrange a Skype chat, and that's it. And other than that, let her reach out to you. And if she's been really distant, say, hey, I noticed over these past few weeks you really have been making the effort to show that you care. You haven't called, you haven't done anything, and you used to call me a couple times a day, and now you're like putting no effort into our relationship. And so what's up with that? And ask her. She probably won't give you a straight answer. She'll give you some BS about she's busy or this or that or whatever, but the real reason is her attraction level has dropped because obviously you said yourself all the mistakes that you made. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. Just see what happens. Like I said, if you don't hear from her after a full week, call her and make a Skype video date. And then other than that, when you're going to, because we're talking, I guess about 10, 11 days before you get home on the 20th. And then obviously, when you get in town, I would say next week when you talk to her, because you're going to talk once a week, is that you're going to say, hey, I'm going to be in town the 20th through whenever. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together for dinner? And just make plans. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. So let's get into the fourth and final email. This guy says, hey, Corey, I've been having great success since applying your book lessons. Just in the past months, I've met multiple women and gone on dates. I emailed you a while back about a girl I liked before and me not setting a definite date, and I felt like I scared her off. Well, when I ran into her on the shuttle She picked a seat right next to mine, and she remembered who I was, which was strange because it's a big campus and we didn't have any contact for months, and asked me questions about myself. She kept good eye contact and smiled. Ding ding, we have a winner. Guess what that means, Bubba? Bubba, she likes you. It's pretty obvious, but when that happens, you got to take advantage of the opportunity right then and there in the spot. And it's like, if she starts to get off, you should say, hey, we should meet up for a drink. When are you free to get together? And you get her number. And you make definite plans right then and there on the spot. If you've been reading my book, you would know that that's what you're supposed to do. Let's see if he actually did it or he choked. He says, even when we got off, she asked if I was walking the same as her and seemed disappointed when I wasn't. She definitely likes you, bro. So why would she sit right next to me and make such an effort? Yeah, because she can't stand you and she doesn't like you at all. Come on, dude. Think about it. What is your mental state right now? Oh, there's no way. I screwed up before. There's no way this girl could like me. She's too hot. She's too good for me. Think about it. It's like you've already presupposed that you've lost. Even though when you look at her actions, it's pretty fucking obvious. And if everybody on that shuttle was a woman and they were watching this, they'd be going, she really likes you, dude. He says, I hadn't read your work back then, so I didn't do anything. Ever since I've read your work and had success, it's made me a better man. The problem is I'd like to ask her out again because I know my mistakes now, but I don't have any way to contact her besides email. How should I go about it? There's just something special about her. She's easy to talk to and absolutely love her smile. She does seem a little self-conscious, though, based on how quiet she talks, but I made an effort and know she's a little comfortable around me. Well, if you got her email, I send her an email. Just say, hey, it was great running into you the other day on the shuttle. I would definitely love to meet up for a drink sometime. When are you free to get together? And then put your number in there and say, let me know. One way or another, you'll get your answer. Either she'll respond and you'll make a date, or you'll never hear from her. And if you hear silence, then it really doesn't matter. He says, I can tell she would be one of those girls that is scared to show interest, but I think she's around a 5 or 6 just based on how she makes an effort to talk to me. Well, like I said, it was obvious that she definitely had interest in you, but like I said, send that email to her and say exactly, all you need to say is exactly what I said. Just be real short, sweet, right to the fucking point. And if she really is interested in you, she'll make plans with you. And if not, you won't hear from her, or she'll give you some kind of BS excuse. But when those kinds of things happen, dude, you got to make a date on the spot. I mean, most women are not going to make it that obvious that they like you, but a girl who really, really likes you and who finds you attractive, remember, people tend to look at the past through rose-colored glasses. And so since it's been several months since you screwed up, then all of a sudden she runs into you and there's this chemistry happening, because that doesn't happen every day when you have chemistry like that. Sure, you meet other people that you might be mutually attracted to, but the chemistry is either there or it's not. You either have mutual interest in common and really enjoy chatting with one another, and it's effortless, or it's not. And so even though you might have screwed up several months ago, when you meet and you just connect so well like that, she's going to start to think, hey, maybe it's kind of meant to be. What are the odds of me running into him after all this time? And we had a great conversation. So that's what I would do if I were you. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email session with yours truly. You can do that by going to my website and click any page of my website. It'll have the products tab at the top. Just click that and follow the instructions for booking whatever option you like with me via PayPal. And I will talk to you soon.